Welcome to the Positive Sports Podcast. I'll be your host this afternoon, Ed Montana. As you can see, I am practicing good social distancing, or at least Alex is practicing good social distancing because he decided not to come to the studio today and stay the hell away from me. So we have Alex remotely. Welcome to the new world of podcasting, Alex. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm just quarantining,
Living that quarantine life?
That's right, man. What do you know about that?
Yeah, well, I think a lot of people know about that. So, I don't know about you, but I've been working from home now for almost 2 weeks. I started working from home not this past Tuesday, but the Tuesday before. And I told you I was going to go stir crazy. But I'm starting to kind of get the hang of this, I'm taking my...
You like it now?
Yeah, I do. You know why? Because I'm taking my commute time and I'm making that my workout time. So from 7 to 8, I work out. So I get up early, I go for a run at 5 some days. And then from 7 to 8, I come back and I do some light weights and core work, which I normally skip. So, that is really good for me as a runner. So I'm kind of getting the hang of this quarantine life, work from home stuff. Now I am going a little stir crazy, but I think it's more the lack of sports than it is the lack of, going to the office. How about you?
Yeah, I'm using what would be commute time for extra sleep. So, my shift starts at 8. I'm getting up at 7:57, brush my teeth, clean my face, and then I get to work,
And boom, you're at the office.
I said like 2 or 3 weeks ago, which actually the week that just passed is my third week working from home.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I'm going into my third week, whatever. It's been about 3 weeks. And it kind of just really hit me late this past week where it's like, okay, I got to get up, go outside, get some fresh air. But I like working from home. So, I feel like I get stuff done a little better, but, I'm not too bothered by it. And I'm just like you and the rest of the sports world. I think it's sports that is really not fulfilling right now, right? You can't watch any sport. You can, yeah. But they're going to be reruns and all that. And so I've actually watched very little TV. I haven't engaged in the reruns of classic games, and I try to avoid as much of the news as possible because I feel like it's we know what's going on. I get the drift, right? So
yeah.
I haven't really watched much TV lately. So
yeah, I'll tell you what, watching TV is tough because for me, I can't get into the old games and stuff, so I've watched very little ESPN, and I just, don't get me wrong, every now and then I can get into a classic, but now all these games that they're showing like all day today and yesterday, on the weekend, it looks like, they're all kind of running together, and I don't see what's so special about the 2010 Butler-Duke NCAA final. It's just, I did get caught up the other day, or maybe it was earlier today, in a Women's College World Series game from 2017, I believe. So I can get into some of it, but what is that background noise?
I have no idea. Well, I don't hear anything.
It sounds like you're shuffling papers. So I can get into it every now and then, but for the most part, I can't get into the classics and all that. Not when they're constantly going. Maybe one that I have a personal attachment to, like a Michigan game or a Mets game. But other than that, man, it's tough. It's tough. And I think the sports is actually bothering me more than not going to the office.
I agree, man. This is a very long time without sports.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. The one thing that that I've kind of gotten into, but I really haven't because I haven't placed any bets, is the virtual gaming stuff, man. And it's something to do. It's something to put a penny on and possibly win 2 pennies. Call me a degenerate, but I enjoy it. I mean, it makes it more, a little more watchable,
Yeah, no.
So
No.
I've done that. I've done that quite a bit.
Yeah, no, it doesn't, Alex.
It does for me.
The esports is just no, absolutely not. It's terrible.
It's no different than horse racing, virtual poker, virtual blackjack. It's the same thing. Except I like sports. I don't like blackjack. I don't like those virtual games. And I mean, it's some sports. So it's if you're a casual sports bettor, I mean, I think and you're into sports or gaming or both, I think that's right down people's alley. And I think there's a lot of people going that route, actually. So
yeah, I mean, I guess I'm not enough of a gambler. I do place the occasional bet, but I can't do esports. I just can't. I mean, no. It's just not real, and I can't get into it. Like I've tried watching some esports, and like I got caught up watching the NASCAR race, which I like NASCAR, and I watched 5 minutes of that, and I was like, this is ridiculous. They just made up a wreck. I was like, oh, great. And then they talk about it like it's a real wreck, right? And I'm like,
right.
Maybe it's just some dummy that doesn't know how to drive. I mean, is Denny Hamlin actually driving this car? No. So
virtually he is.
Yeah, it's really weird. It's really weird.
Yeah.
So the one thing that I've noticed though in this time is, like I walk around and I don't go out very much, but occasionally I'll go to the grocery store to pick up a few things, or I'll go out and run with my friends and things like that. And not, don't be concerned. It's not a whole lot of friends. It's only like a group of 4, well below the the quota of 10. So I'm staying out of trouble. Although every time we're sitting around having a cup of coffee afterwards. So just to explain, we go to this coffee shop. We all park there. Everybody's got a truck except for me. And so we run from the coffee shop, come back, go inside, get a cup of coffee, come outside, and sit on the back of the truck and just chat for a while and then go about our merry way. And so every time we're sitting there, when we see a cop, we're like, uh-oh, are we going to get in trouble here? But, my rebuttal to any cop that comes near me is I'm going to start coughing violently.
Then you're going to probably end up in jail, like those other idiots.
No, I don't think I'll end up in jail. I think they'll tell me to leave, but because they'll be too scared to handcuff me.
That's a good strategy,
Yeah, so I'll start coughing and sneezing and blowing my nose and spitting and all kinds of stuff. They won't come anywhere near me.
I mean, during this quarantine, you have to learn how to improvise. You got to find ways. So that's finding a way not to get arrested, right? You
that's
call
right.
On the cop.
That's right. Hey, just imagine and think of it this way, right? If you're going into a store and someone's coming up to mug you, there's another instance where you could just go all coronavirus and start coughing and hacking and get them away. Tell them I'm contagious.
Get away.
Hey, And what's the? Have you seen anything in your wandering around? Have you seen anything really silly or anything like a good idea that you hadn't thought of before you saw it with this whole coronavirus thing?
No, I mean, I haven't gone out much. The only time, I mean, this week I literally went out twice, maybe once on Monday, and then Saturday, I think yesterday. And then, they were just to go get some food and milk and, what I consider or think is essential. But on my way to the store, which is, right down the street from me, I see car wash open, I see a GNC open, and I'm like, okay, well, now I just don't know the meaning of essential. So once I got into Walmart, where I did my shopping, there's people buying coat hangers, and so, honestly, I went to the store and got what I needed and went right back home. I don't need to be, shopping just for the sake of shopping. So
I'll tell you, one of the silliest things that I've seen is the people that are using their trip to Walmart as a family outing. Like, I went to a grocery store here yesterday, I think, or maybe day before yesterday. I went to pick up a few things that we had run out of, not toilet paper for all of you wondering. And I saw a family. It was a husband, a wife, and 3 kids, and they were like from 2, 5, and 8. And it's like a family trip at Walmart. And it's like, look, man, if y'all want to do something together and get out, don't go into another enclosed space, right, where there's a bunch of other people. Go ride your bike or go take a walk in the park. I go, but don't, I didn't say this to him, but I was thinking, don't go hang out at Walmart. That seems like the silliest place to be,
Yeah, I don't get that either. And really, quite frankly, the other thing I don't get is the people using the gloves. I really don't get it. I don't get it because when you touch that shopping cart, the virus might be on there. Then you go inside and you grab a box of Frosted Flakes and you realize, I really don't want Frosted Flakes, I want Cheerios. So you put the box of Frosted Flakes back. Well, now that virus is on that box. And then I come from behind and, Frosted Flakes. Now I got the virus, so I just don't get the whole, I don't know. Look, I'm listening to what the governor or president is saying, and I'm staying my ass inside. I got no business going outside, and I'm just going to keep quarantining.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. The other thing I like, speaking of gloves, is I saw someone with gloves on rubbing their eye at the store. And I'm like, did you turn that glove inside out before you started rubbing your eye, or what are you doing here? People think that just because they're wearing gloves or wearing a mask that they're safer, but if they still exhibit, not smart behavior like putting their hands on their face with the gloves on, it's just as dumb. So,
yeah, I don't get it.
I think it's silly. Hey, let me ask you a question. Now, I have not shaved. Since I haven't been to the office, I haven't shaved. So I look like, a grizzly. I'm nice and
You look
hairy.
rough.
Huh?
I say you look rough.
Yeah, that's right. I look like I am roughing it. Do you think having facial hair makes you more likely to get sick or less likely to get sick?
I don't think it matters.
Oh, absolutely, it matters. I think.
I don't know. I'm no scientist. I have no freaking clue. I've never studied the human body like that.
Dude, this is a podcast. It's called Bro Science. I think having facial hair makes you less likely because then the virus will get stuck on your beard and not make it all the way into your mouth or your eyes.
Well, then you got to shave.
Well, yeah, then you got to shave, which I'm
So
not
that's
doing.
a problem. That's a problem. because I don't think you or I want to shave.
No, I definitely don't. I'll tell you what, that's another positive about this whole work from home thing. I don't have to shave.
You don't have to shave, and me, since I went bald, I haven't shaved, so I'm saving my shaves once I know I have to go back to the office. So I'm now saving razors. I'm also saving shaving cream, and the best part is I don't have to worry about ironing clothes or anything like that. So I'm saving a bunch of time there.
Yeah, no, like you don't think about this stuff until you end up in this situation, but it's like I've driven less than 100 miles this week. It's like I hardly drive. I'm not using any gas. Obviously I dress a little bit nicer for work than I do around the house, so I'm not spending money on dry cleaning or anything like that. So,
right.
You're saving money too. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, I'm all for it.
Now, so you're not shaving your head now, you're just letting it grow?
Yeah, I'm going to let it grow until it's time to go back to work. And then I'll start. I figured out this quarantine time, I figured out my shave schedule now, so I think it's going to work out perfect. And I figured out I have to shave 3 times a week. My head. I'm talking about my head.
Right.
So I'm shaving. I'm going to have to shave 3 times a day, 3 times a week. And I already got the days that I'm going to do it, and I'm good to go, man.
No, awesome. But for now, while you're at home, you're going to just look like a chia pet and just let it grow.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now, what happens if this thing goes like 6 months?
That's fine with me too. I just let it grow. I should just let it grow. I haven't thought about that, but
I say let it grow nonstop until you have to go back to the office. Just let it grow. Let's see how long it gets.
Shit, now I'm hoping it goes 6 months with this thing.
Because you even when you had hair, right? You'd buzz it like every 2 weeks, right?
Yeah. Every 2 weeks.
So imagine what it's going to look like if you go 6 months. I'm rooting for 6 months now. Now, don't get me wrong. I want to go back to the office sooner than that. But I'm hoping they keep you home for 6 months.
I'm crossing my fingers too.
Hey, so let me ask you a question, because I've found that I have to do this. Like, I take little breaks during the day. So every now and then, I'll just take a 45-minute break and go watch something on TV, because I can't sit in here and work from 8 to noon, eat for an hour or have lunch, and then go from 1 to 5. I got to have like a mid-morning break in there.
Yeah.
I got to go watch me like some Maury, You Are Not the Father, or some Jerry Springer or something like that, and then get back to work. Are you working straight through?
No, I'm taking multiple breaks, and those breaks are strictly for food. So I'm walking to the pantry, debating what I want to eat this time, and seriously, I wish I would have weighed myself 3 weeks ago. And if I had to guess, I might be up like 5 to 7 pounds.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
well,
I've been eating a lot.
Weigh yourself now. Let's figure it out. Especially if this thing ends up going 6 months.
Yeah, I did actually today, and I'm at like 165, I think, 167. So.
And now it's on the podcast, so we all know. And I just wrote it down.
I know. It's on the record.
So now we have a record.
No, the only thing that I've been doing is, I'll sit on my porch in the front and get some fresh air, call mom, and, talk with her over the phone for a little bit, and then she'll ask me, you want to talk to dad? I'll be like, no, I'll call him later, and then I'll use that for my next break, and that's kind of like how I've been breaking it down. So
That's not a bad way to go.
yeah,
Yeah, because
No.
you gotta do stuff to connect with people because you're not seeing people. Like I've been looking forward to doing the podcast all day today because we haven't talked in a few days, and it's
Right.
just kind of like, hey, I just want to catch up and see what's going on and whatnot because otherwise, you're just stuck at home looking at the same four people over and over again.
Yeah, it's really tough, man. Especially like I think I'm fortunate that my kids are 10 and older, right? 10 and 17. But even with the 10-year-old, it's kind of hard. They got the virtual school, but I think that's a bunch of BS. And it's helpful, but it's not serving its purpose the way it should. And so it's hard keeping my 10-year-old busy while I have to work, or just trying to keep her occupied. So I think that part for me has been the most challenging, because I don't want, I don't mind if they get on the iPad, but a little too much. I don't want it to be abused either, but it's almost like, well, what the hell do you do? I have a park right across from my house, and it's filled with kids every day. And I'm like, well, do I really want to take it to the park and with, all those people there? So it's like we're just stuck at home. So that, for me, I think has been the most challenging during these 3 weeks.
Yeah, and so mine is 14, and like he's getting all of his stuff done. Now he's a bright kid. He's getting all of his stuff done by like noon. So it's like every day is a half day for him. Makes me really nervous, right? But imagine if you have a bright kid and he's like 7 or 6, right? First or second grade. The volume of lessons is even less. Imagine what that kid's like. That kid's probably done by 10 or 11 in the morning, especially, when they're younger, they tend to be early risers. What do you do with them the rest of the day? I think having younger kids for this online learning thing is going to be really difficult, or that's probably really challenging for parents that have kids. And you mentioned it last week. For a single parent with a 7-year-old or a 6-year-old, holy crap, that's got to be a nightmare to try to get your job done and do school with a 6 or 7-year-old. That's got to be crazy.
Yeah, seriously. Shout out to those people, single parents.
They should be the first to get those stimulus checks.
That's right.
Speaking of stimulus checks, what are you going to do with your $1,200 or your $2,000 or however much it ends up being?
As of right now, nothing, because it's not in my bank account.
But when you get it, what are you going to do with it?
Thou shalt not count money you don't have.
Oh, we're getting it.
Yeah, that's fine. I really don't care if we get it or not, to be honest with you. I can give you my politically answer, but it's probably going to go to bills. I'm going to be boring and say it's going to go to bills.
I'm going to order takeout for a week. I'm going to support my local businesses. I'm going to order takeout every day until it's gone.
Every day. Damn. Well, you're really going to gain weight that way.
Yeah, probably. Okay, I'm not going to do that. I refuse to gain weight. I am doing my damnedest. Like, I walk into the kitchen and I grab an orange instead of an Oreo cookie.
Okay, so listen. So what is going to be? I'm assuming you haven't eaten out, haven't had takeout. I haven't. I think the only thing we had in respect to Lent was Little Caesars 2 Fridays ago. Okay. Mm-hmm. But, we're not craving. That's not something that I'm craving. What's the first place you're going to go? Or what kind of food is the first kind of food you're going to grab?
That's easy.
When they let us out of this quarantine.
That's easy. I'm going to get wings and beer somewhere. Because here's the thing.
Wings and beer.
We've done takeout, a few times. We do it like every 3 days or so, just to break up the monotony of cooking at home or whatever. And every time we do it, I have the same problem. It's the food is always lukewarm at best, right?
Yeah.
So it's just not the same as going to the restaurant and sitting there. And so that's what I miss. And with wings, when I say wings and beer and chili cheese fries, like if you get chili cheese fries and then you bring them home, they're soggy by the time you get home. So it's not worth it.
Yeah.
And the wings are they're lukewarm at that point. It's not the same. You stick them in the oven, it's just not the same. So that's what I miss the most, and that's probably the first thing I'll go eat. How about you?
I'm going to Brothers. Get some pizza.
Oh, pizza.
Chicken parm sandwich.
That's a good one as well.
That's pretty much it. Huh?
That's a good one as well, because with pizza, if the cheese isn't nice and melty and stuff, it's not the same.
Right.
So yeah, I agree with you.
Right.
Pizza. So I'm gonna do wings and beer for lunch, pizza for dinner, or vice versa.
I would say Chinese food, but I was craving Chinese food like 2 weeks ago, and now I don't know if I ever want to have Chinese food. I really may never have Chinese food again.
Yeah, I'm not. I mean, I'm not. I'm staying away from Chinese food. I know that sounds terrible, but I've been staying away from Chinese food for like a good month or two now because, I mean, I hate to say this. This sounds terrible, but if I go to a Mexican restaurant, I see a bunch of Hispanic people there. If those Hispanic people went back to their country to visit their family, where did they go? They went to Central and South America, right? Okay.
Right.
If I go to a Chinese food place, I don't go to Pei Wei. I go to a real Chinese food place. I see a bunch of Asian American people. And
Right.
if they just got back from visiting their family, where were they? They were in China. So while that sounds kind of racist on my end, I do have some rationale. And it may be flimsy, but it just makes me a little nervous. And if I'm going to be uncomfortable, I'm not going to want to eat their food, I mean, that sounds terrible, and I realize it does, and I apologize, but it's the truth.
Well, I don't think it's as terrible as this virus, so I don't think what you're saying is terrible. I just think it's... I think what you're saying, a lot of other people may feel the same way, so it's not exactly a terrible thing to say. In my eyes, it sucks because, I finally find these hole in the walls that are really good for Chinese food, and they close down. And then I find another one, and then that one closes down. And then I found another one, a third one,
Mm-hmm.
and then this virus comes about, and now I can't go to that one. So, I think my Chinese food consumption is officially over, sadly.
For a while.
Yeah.
Not forever.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. That remains to be seen for now.
Right. I think I'll definitely have Chinese food again someday. I just don't think it'll be anytime soon.
Yeah.
So what are you doing to keep the family entertained? Since you're all cooped up at home.
A lot of card games, board games, wrestling with my 10-year-old daughter.
Are you winning?
So, of course.
Okay, good.
I got the figure four down packed. I got the leg drop and the body slam.
Hey, wait a minute. Can you do the figure four with her legs being so much shorter than yours?
Oh, I've tried it. Yes, I can. So she's into wrestling now because, that's real. We were into wrestling a long time ago, and now it's kind of came back since it's that wrestling is still going on with no audience, right?
Yeah.
So they're cutting promos and like a lot of like they're showing clips since WrestleMania's coming up. They're showing a lot of old WrestleMania clips, but I mean they're having the shows are going on with commentators and everything, just no audience, right?
Yeah.
So we've been watching a little bit of wrestling, and so now she's into it and she wants to wrestle me every chance she gets. So and then other than that, just stuff around the house. So.
Yeah, hey, you better be careful. You teach her all those moves. Eventually she's going to be big and strong, and you're going to get old and frail, and she's going to kick your ass.
Yeah, I think she's noticing that I'm getting there. So
you can't be getting there yet. You're not even 40.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, when you've been married for so long and you've got 3 kids, you're like 60.
And this quarantine is going to make you like 70.
Bro, yeah, these 3 weeks have felt like 2 months.
Easily.
Yeah. So I think I've aged.
Like I asked earlier, I asked, what's today's date? Because I was writing something down on my phone, and someone said March 29th. And I said, oh my God, we're still in March? We haven't made it out of March yet? I'm like, oh my goodness. And I keep hearing, and it's not until that moment that I realize I'm hearing about quarantine and stay at home until April 13th. And I don't realize how far away that is. April sounds so close because I feel like we are already in April, but we're not. We're still in March. And I'm like, holy crap, this thing is going to take forever. That's definitely that's when you got to put mind over matter and figure something out, because it's not, just stay occupied, because it's not, that's going to drive you crazy alone. Yeah, it is crazy, but whatever. I mean,
what have you been doing?
We haven't been doing much. We've been doing a lot of puzzles, oddly enough.
Yeah.
Now my son and I, we get out because we go out in the backyard and throw the baseball around, and he'll pitch to me a little bit, and we'll talk baseball. We'll set up the net and the tee, and he'll take a few swings. So we kind of still have. Obviously, it's not the normal activity that we normally do, but at least something close to what we normally do.
Right.
But other than that, we don't do that much. Everyone's kind of doing their own thing, working or school or, working out. My daughter has taken to working out in the garage. So that's where I get my my strength work and my core work done, is I go out in the garage with her, and she's doing all of her exercises, I'm doing mine. And sometimes we do the same one for a little while, but a lot of times we do our own thing, and we're just out there together and got the music blaring, and we're talking a little bit and shooting the breeze. But other than that, watch movies. Just, I mean, God, it's boring.
Yeah, I'm far from a movie person, so I definitely, my wife and the kids, they're entertained with the movies, but I'll go read, or I don't know, I'll find something else to do.
I'm not big on the movies either. I'm not big on the movies either, so I end up falling asleep sometimes, which then it just makes for a nice nap, an hour or so. But other than that, man, it's pretty freaking boring. But that's the way it is. What can you do? At this point, you just got to wait it out. You got to stay safe. Like all these people that just kind of don't give a shit. It's like, look, man, if everybody gets on board and stays at home and we stop the spread of this thing, then that's the quicker we can get back to normal. But if y'all, if there's 10%, 20%, 30% of the population still out there fucking around, hanging out in bars or doing whatever, it's just going to keep going, and you just make the problem worse. So I'm trying to do my part to get this thing over with as quickly as possible.
Oh yeah, I agree.
because I don't want to be bored any longer than I have to.
Yeah, yeah. So.
All right, man. You got anything else?
Nah, man. I'm gonna get back to quarantining. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm all about the quarantine life.
Well, the good thing is we can still do this podcast, and so our fans can still catch us on YouTube, or if they want to listen to us on Podbean, iTunes, Google Play, whatever. If you want to share your quarantine stories with us, feel free to do so. You can email the show, positivesports10@gmail.com, positivesports10@gmail.com. If you want to get with Alex and share your quarantine life with him, Alex, how do they do that?
On Twitter at BrooklynGaucho1.
And if you want to share any of your be safe, be smart, be nice tips, go ahead and reach out to me. I'd love to hear them. You can reach me on Twitter as well at eMontana21. We're going to keep doing these. We're going to make them a little bit shorter. We may do them a little more frequently so you guys got something to listen to while you're stuck at home. But the most important thing is stay safe. Don't go out if you don't have to. Take advantage of this time to spend quality time with your family. And, pick up a new hobby or some shit. Read a book, whatever. Just don't risk it. It's not worth it. You're just going to prolong the quarantine life for everyone, right?
Yep, I agree.
Alrighty. So, as always, folks, ignore the negativity. Be the positivity.